Welcome to the first episode of Top Corner Podcast. My host today is Mr. Julian. I call him Julian, but Julian. And pretty excited about this. We got a good show for y'all. And Julian, how you doing today?
Doing all right. Do you want to do some soft introductions? Tell the people about who we are, why we're doing this, because we are kind of figuring this out at the same time as they are about what this show is going to be and what it should be, and it's going to be a season-long endeavor. So I'm excited to get things started. So tell them about yourself. Tell them why you decided to start this podcast, especially with me.
Yeah,
being your co-host.
Yeah. No, I am Jordan, and I like soccer. I like football.
Yeah.
So, and I really wanted to have this get this podcast started with Julian. So we met 2 years ago via his wife, and we decided to just have something that we're passionate about, and we can just talk about it and get this going. And how about you, Julian?
Yeah, I mean, it's very tough to have complex conversation with football, soccer. So we're going to be saying football. I personally don't care if people say soccer.
Yeah.
I think that the internet arguments about the terminology is very funny. It's usually English people that say can't say football, but that you can't say soccer, but they invented the term soccer.
Yeah.
And they choose to forget that. They have a very selective memory in that regard. So my name is Julian Ralston. I'm a Nashville-based filmmaker and film professor who is incredibly maybe a mega enthusiast in the sport. Never played it myself, but I would say it's been maybe 8 years of being a full-time second passion. It would be, filmmaking, and that's my entire career is based upon. And this is like the biggest passion that I'm not pursuing as a profession. At least like by going to school.
Yeah.
I didn't go to football school. So yeah, we're going to basically be, like I said, trying to figure out the shape that the podcast is going to take, because there's so many things that you can talk about and so many things that people do already talk about. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're going to be a good place for you to get some simple, easy news on the day.
Yeah.
I really want this to be some sort of maybe like a drive time commute.
Yeah.
For more Western football fans. I think that talking about matchups, but not necessarily having to dissect them at length, because there are tons of matches going on throughout the weeks and the weekends.
Yeah.
Really, right now, transfer rumors are the big deal. And of course, once November hits as well, we're going to be talking about the January transfer. I think news and rumors, but not trying to get too tabloid-like with the rumors. We got to cool it on the rumors.
Gotcha.
It's got to be. I want it to be more factual.
Can we do fake news?
I
love me a good fake news.
We can do fake news as long as we make sure that we set aside time to apologize in the next episode for just giving people a bunch of BS. Sense. Yeah. So we're going to really try to prioritize the big matchups in Europe, and we will probably be doing auxiliary episodes for Champions League when the group stage hits. And that's also the thing. We're trying to figure out a consistent schedule and provide weekly content. So do you want to go ahead and just start getting into some of the
I don't know if
or rumors or what? What are you thinking?
I think rumors. I don't know if you read about this, but there's been some rumors about Mbappe going to Real Madrid. I just read about it this morning.
Finally closing the deal down?
I don't know if they're going to close it. I don't know if this is just a stunt. But reading it was 103 million bid for his contract, I guess. But the buyout from his contract is going to be tough. I don't know if a team can afford to do that.
And would you want to do it at this stage anyway?
I would still do it.
Well, yeah. But
I would still do it from Real Madrid. Real Madrid the whole game is based on offensive, right? They maximize the offensive as much as possible. So they're going to try to overload every team that they take on. And if you've been watching Real Madrid right now, I think having a pure finish, he's not really a pure finisher, but he gets the job done.
Yeah.
They're also in a good space, so I'm kind of I don't know if it's gonna mess up their chemistry or it's gonna improve their chemistry.
Yeah. And I don't know if you want to make because what was it? They were gonna ask for 120 million.
Yeah.
Something like that on someone that whether he is always the instigator or not, is involved with a bunch of drama at all times. And again, the PSG locker room is kind of a mess anyway, right? And they've slowly been trying to get rid of the mess.
Yeah.
And I just think that it would be smarter to wait and see how much drama does continue when it went with just him, because everybody left like rats in a sinking ship, right? And he's there, and apparently he's happy now. I don't know if I want to take that much money and gamble.
Yeah.
But you do need someone. You need a center forward.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is that he's always complained about being a center forward at PSG, and the biggest issue that I've seen in terms of analysts discussing this thing, he wants to be a left winger, and Vinicius Jr. is locked down in the left wing.
Yeah.
And so, is he going to be okay being the straight number 9 that he was at PSG, or is he going to start to create drama? Because they need someone, because Rodrigo is great.
Mm-hmm.
Vinicius Jr. is really great, but they have trouble finishing inside the box, as if, like once they move into a certain space, they're operating like a number 9. And I know that the matchup this past weekend with Real Madrid, I think Rodrigo missed 2 big chances inside the box. It's like, that's not where he's naturally supposed to be. So they need somebody in that space. But is Mbappe going to want to be that person in that space? Because he has been very vocal about not wanting to be in that position.
Yeah. So I think, he can still do it. Like you said, being on the wing, it's not going to be an option. But he can be a pure 9. I think the problem at Paris Saint-Germain, though, you had Neymar on the wing. Neymar, he wasn't efficient in being a winger. So providing the ball to your 9, he wasn't efficient doing that. Neymar is kind of a ball hugger. So he's going to try to do some fancy stuff. So that's probably why he was complaining. But when you see him playing for France, he's a winger, but he sometimes will get to the center just to try and get the job done. If you have your 9 is not scoring, and he can score, and he can also be creating chances. So I think having him in Real Madrid at a pure 9, that will be sweet. So
he's also one of those players, though, that seems like for whatever reason they have to be the happiest person on the planet to perform at the level that you expect them to. And if something does go wrong, then they're finding something to complain about, and all of a sudden, instead of playing at 90%, they're playing at 70% and not doing, so he's a great talent. I have trouble I'm not a supporter, I guess we'll say. I don't dislike him.
Yeah.
I don't think that he is a bad player, obviously. I do think that he's slightly overrated in terms of what people expect him to do versus what he has proven to do. But what he's done hasn't suggested to me that he's incapable of being as good as everybody thinks that he is.
Yeah.
He is clearly, he has that capacity. There's so many things there's so many ulterior circumstances that are preventing it, and a lot of it is his attitude or the sense of community or lack thereof that PSG have sort of built. They've built this TMZ locker room, and it's not been good for anybody. And I think that he has been he is a major part of why that locker room was the way that it was. Whether he was the main person behind it or not, he was a pillar in that locker room. So you have to think that he's responsible for at least some of that drama.
Well, I think if you're PSG, first of all, you have Mbappe, Neymar, Messi in the same team. I don't see how that will go well.
It sounds good on paper. But
it's kind of like Real Madrid of 2005. I just don't see how that will go well. And you have Mbappe at the time you're giving him this contract, this massive contract that he had. He is one, or if not the best young players. So of course that's going in his head.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was a smart move. So they gotta stop buying all these big players and put in one team. This is it's not an all-star game.
Yeah.
So Harry Maguire, what about your boy?
Okay, I'm looking at my setup here, and it's exactly what I want to talk about. One, he is not my boy. He is not my boy. Don't say that. We don't even need to really talk about our preferred teams.
Yeah.
I like it and I don't like it when I guess, broadcast sports analysts really discuss their favorite teams. I think you can figure it out if you just listen to him closely. But no, I will say Harry Maguire is not my boy. Well, and also, so he is elected, at this point at least, to stay.
Yeah.
At Manchester United. He has foregone the West Ham deal and has elected to, some people have said, fight for the position, and some say sit on his contract. Which also Scott McTominay and Aaron Wan-Bissaka have been linked for the same thing.
Yeah.
They were both supposed to be going out, and they have said no, we want to stay and sit on the bench and collect that United money because no one else is going to really pay for that. And I could see someone wanting to spend a bit more and take a chance on Wan-Bissaka. I don't see at least a top tier European side really interested in McTominay.
Okay.
Or Maguire. So what do you think about that? The idea is that what you're wanting to talk about him anyway, or is there something else? Falling over the ground.
I don't know. Harry Maguire. I still don't understand how he's still at United this long. To be honest, I mean, if I were the coach, he would have been gone. 1 season, 2 seasons. 1 season ago, I don't know, last year or the year before last, he should have been gone. Now the thing about it. If you get Onana and you have Harry Maguire as your defender, there's a lot of goals that's gonna be going to a lot, and there's gonna be a lot of errors made in the box because Onana is always out. And given that, so it's one of those things that you have to think. How do you want your defender if you're having a modern day goalkeeper? Yeah, and it cannot be Maguire. I don't know even if fighting for the spot will be something, but if I was, I would let him go. By all means.
Well, and just like he's not. If he is now saying he's here to fight for the spot, what's he been doing the last year?
Yeah,
because he's not been a central defender in a way that the club is actively wanting him to be.
Yeah,
there's no one else. They had no one else to bring in, really. So it's like, are you just saying that you weren't fighting for the spot because no one else was behind you coming up? Because like, you did not have that position with confidence.
Yeah,
the club, like inside and outside of supporters, like no one wanted you there. Like you've been fighting for your spot.
Now the question is, who will be able to replace Maguire effectively? Because if you have Varane, it's kind of difficult because you have to take into account Varane is also up there in age. Yeah. So if he's up, who is covering for Varane?
Well, see, and I don't think that there's one person to solve this solution, because I think that maybe you'll agree with me now, and I think that when the season continues, you'll see it as well. Martinez is not good enough either.
That's why.
He's not good enough. So yeah, you have Varane, who's a step behind.
Yeah.
Another step behind. He's been consistently getting slower and slower, and that's not a big. I mean, he's still a great defender. Yeah. He's their best defender. I do not think people want to say that Martinez.
No, he's their best.
Some people still want to put Martinez in the top 5 defenders in the Premier League, and
I don't think so.
That's just not possible. So you've got to figure out when, where, how Maguire is going to fit in.
Yeah.
Or if he just needs to go. So you've got to replace him. You've got to accept that next season Varane might be more than just a step behind.
Yeah.
And I've seen Martinez on the ground more than standing upright since the season started. And I wasn't impressed with him that much last year either. He made a couple of good. If you lack size like he does,
yeah,
it's not the end of the world. Thiago Silva is a good example. You have to put yourself in a good position. He has the height and the size of Thiago Silva, yet the clumsiness and the right angle movements of Maguire. Mm-hmm. He does not look very graceful in getting back on defense. When he does have to turn his hips and catch up to a forward, he misses 2 or 3 steps. He has no ability to either backtrack and find that space naturally, or turn around and just hoof it back down to a good position. He doesn't have that.
It's interesting enough because when he plays for England, I felt like he was slightly better than when he plays for Manchester United, which is I don't know. I probably won't have him as, depending on what formation you're doing.
Yeah.
I probably won't have him as the last defender.
No.
Or my pure center back. Now, if he's good technically, they probably can figure a way to put him on be a full back, because.
But he has no technical skill, and we've seen it. Like it's like
that's another thing.
Half of the errors that he has made, since at United, was something with the inability to get the ball out from underneath him.
Yeah,
he's got to be able to stay on top of it. He's got to be able to put a shoulder out to defend against. But he's got to be able to move forward and find a pass, and he's not able to move. He's like a Lego man.
Correct.
He can't do much of anything.
Yeah, if I were United, I would let him go. Try to find a central defender, someone that will complement Varane. Because I remember when Varane was at Real Madrid, it was really complimentary. So if Ramos is up, Varane is going to be down. He's going to cover for Ramos. Yep. But Varane is not. He doesn't have that pace anymore.
No,
he's still great at defending and have that defending skills and awareness, but the pace is not there. He's getting up there in age. So you need someone that will complement, and preferably someone that has pace, someone that's fast, someone that has really good defending skills and are really aware, especially when you get in the box. Yep. And that's where Varane comes in play, because Varane is really good in the box. But you would definitely see a lot of Maguire in there trying to cover for Varane at times, and having Onana up front. That's not a good combination. And you can see why the Onana had an altercation with Maguire early on. It's like you just can't do that.
That was a really funny exchange, and it's one of those where you hear your keeper yelling at you from behind, and you just don't even want to turn around and look, because it's like I know, I did it. But I mean, Varane had a really good. He's still okay with a nice little attacking header from a corner as well. I think it was the 96th minute. Yeah. He came in with a big flying header and almost got on the board, but Vicario is the Tottenham keeper's name.
Yeah.
He had two amazing saves. That was one of them. He had that save, and then he had an amazing deflection from Casemiro. I think like 10 minutes after halftime.
Yeah.
So very good overall from the Tottenham keeper. Varane still has, at least he has some jumping ability, because he's got good height. What is he, 6'1"?
Yeah, he's got a good height, 6 something.
And I mean, he's lost some pace, but
as far as the
flying
defender,
in late.
He's good. Like, so what would you say about the game Manchester was against Tottenham? I know you're gonna complain about Onana, but
no, I think that he is the energy that they need.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the team feels absolutely comatose. The problem is when he is that energetic and he is that mobile, and they are so lackadaisical.
Yeah.
It does hurt sometimes, but it's never something that I've not seen him make a mistake aside from the clash at Wolves.
Yeah.
Where I was like, you alone are the reason that they almost conceded a goal. Like, I've not seen him solely responsible for anything like that, at least.
Yeah.
So I do like him. The problem is the back line. Definitely.
Yeah, the back line is not. They gotta fix that. Another thing, I think United, they have to play Rashford on the left wing.
Yes, he is not. He missed 2 major headers in the first 25 minutes. He is not a finisher. I don't know what.
And another thing, he was nowhere to be found in the game. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons is because they don't have a pure 8. They don't have a distributor. Yep. They don't have someone that will orchestrate the game for them. Mm-hmm. And also Rashford, I always thought Rashford would be a good left wing than a pure striker.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's because he can create chances on that wing, and he can create chances for him to score. And if you don't have a good 8 or 10 to distribute, and you have a striker that's nowhere to be found, because I saw him, he did not know how to position himself.
Yeah.
But that's partly because of him trying to get down and trying to get chances or have the ball so he can go forward with it.
Yeah.
It's not going to work that way. And if you have Onana has good distributing skills. That's why you bring in Onana, right? Because you could actually play what? A 3-4-4.
Yeah.
Because Onana could be a defender.
Yep.
And you saw the game against Tottenham under pressure. You saw the passes to Wan-Bissaka under pressure. So the coach has to ask him, how am I going to play? What formation am I going to use? And what players do I really need? They definitely need an 8. Casemiro is not what he used to be.
Yeah.
So either an 8 or a holding midfielder.
Yeah, well, and it seems like, especially with his pace being what it is now, but also his experience, he's a good 6. You know, he would be a good transition person to move the ball and dictate pace through either long or short passes, but he does not need to really be running from box to box anymore. But they were linked to United were Frankie de Jong last year. It never really developed, but that's when you think you like a number 8 he's not overly pacey, but he does have some movement to him. He is a creative passer. That's someone that they would need, and the fact that they were linked to him, it made so much sense last year that I thought that it could end up being a short thing. I think that it makes even more sense this year.
It makes a lot of sense.
Because Eriksen doesn't have Eriksen is a good late sub.
Yeah.
And he's good for, and it's not a knock either. I mean, like, it's not the English squad's fault that they have 2 domestic cups to compete in. But like, he's like a good League Cup midfielder, and like early rounds of the FA Cup, and like have him come on in the 78th minute, you know, to just kind of help control and dictate pace in the midfield. But in terms of someone that's going to grind out a result for the majority of the game, have the pace to keep the ball at least in the middle third, because they were on the ropes the entire time. Another big one was wondering if Romero was going to start for Tottenham, because he had picked up an injury. He did start, and I think that he made a very big difference. I already talked about the missed chances of Rashford, because it could have easily been 2-2.
Yeah,
with just the mistakes or the lack of finishing that Rashford had personally. We were talking. You liked Sarr's goal quite a bit. You like Sarr.
I like him. Yeah, it's pretty good. But before we get there, let's talk about the Neymar.
Jesus. Yeah.
I think he has the biggest contract now out of any player, right? 300 million for 2 seasons.
Yep. Well, and I even because we went to a watch party for the Nashville SC and Inter Miami Leagues Cup final at a local venue in Nashville that I will not say the name of, because I was not particularly pleased with their hospitality for the watch party. It's a different thing entirely. But no, I read you the perks in his contract that were absolutely absurd. The house, the full staff, 3 cars, a private jet, $500,000 for each Instagram post or social media post that spoke highly of Saudi Arabia. Like, that's absolutely insane. I'm probably making a daily post if I have the choice of, you know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely crazy. And like, I think that the reason that he lost a lot of steam at PSG was because the contract was so impressive, and that he just seems like one of those players that if he's not working for direct results, he is not an effective player. And he just seems like once he gets that money, that desire goes away. And not every player is like that, but also not every player is okay at a scrappy, underside team where work rate is the priority. Like, some guys don't want to run themselves into the ground, but he seems like he worked his ass off at Barcelona, and then once it was about him and he was the star, and he gets this crazy contract, he just disappeared.
Well, for me, it's what about the legacy, right? You had, I want to say, the expectation around him coming as Neymar from Santos, from Brazil, to Barcelona, this wonder kid that was practically playing with people on the field. He was so good. In 2011, he got nominated for Puskas. That's when I actually knew about Neymar. When he got to Barcelona, man, the MSN killed it. I mean, it was every single weekend when you played against them, you know you were going to get butchered. 2 was the average goal. And I thought Neymar should have never left Barcelona.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if he's unfortunate playing in the era of two of the greatest players ever, or because that's why he went to PSG, so he can be out of Messi's shadow. But I don't know. I want to hear a Brazilian talk about what, as far as players that have played for Brazil, did they rank, or where do they rank Neymar as a legend, or someone that I guess was the face of Brazilian football for a while.
Do you think that in 15 years when he's gone, Ronaldinho will still maintain a higher spot? Because I know when he was in his prime, and it's unfortunate now because while he's still playing, and he probably still will play for several more years, it's easy to mark his prime. Those first, like, those 3 seasons at Barcelona, it's so clear that's.
I see him after he retires. Nobody's going to talk about him as someone that made an impact on the field, just because he has no big accolades to his name. He has not changed the game. He doesn't have a game that you can watch and say this one is for the archives. I mean, Villarreal goal in 2016, but as that aura of this kid, this wonder kid, this guy. I mean, everybody talked about Neymar, and he was Neymar. He's Neymar, but as far as the accolades and accomplishment, there's none. You can say, well, he was in the greatest era of, whatever, but
there's nothing wrong with that, because it's like so what if, because like I remember it plain as day. It was so clear before Messi won the World Cup. I feel like now it's unanimous that he's number 1 and Ronaldo's number 2. But really, for all the years that they were kind of competing against each other directly, it was 50-50. And a lot of people would still say that Ronaldo was number 1 because of the work rate and just his desire. But Neymar was always number 3. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially like when you really look at it. It was 1, 2, 3. And then everyone else was so much farther down below in terms of the debate. But like, because once you get to 4, you would have people say Lewandowski. You have people say, and then like in like later years, Harry Kane,
Xavi,
Mohamed Salah.
But like that's more like 2017 upwards.
Eden Hazard. But really, I mean, like, that's when the debate started to get more congested. But like 1, 2, and 3 were unanimous. Everybody agreed on that. And I couldn't imagine being so worked up about that. Like, you want to be the best. I understand that. I think on the planet, I think people underestimate how many football players there are. To be 3rd best in the world, to me, that's like being the best in the world, man. Like 3 people 2 people walking the earth that are better than you.
I feel like
you know what I mean?
I feel like I can give him the benefit of the doubt, but also, I mean, I wouldn't think that's only and solely his fault. I think that the era had a huge impact, because even when you take someone like, you take all the greatest players of Brazil, so you got Pele, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, you have Adriano, you have people that have changed the game and always known. You have Ronaldo, so on that scale, it's going to be difficult to place Neymar somewhere. And I could say that's also because when Ronaldinho played, he played in the best era of Brazil. I mean, wouldn't even say the best era of Brazil, because Brazil always had the best era in terms of international football from Pele days going upwards. So they really showed up. When they showed up with their team, it was Brazil had everything. So it's difficult. When Neymar played, I just don't see. Well, we can debate, we can agree to disagree, because he had Daniel Alves, he still had a good number of players around him to probably make up his legacy. But I just think that it's gonna be difficult for someone to say, hey, when we talk about the greatest players for Brazil, let's put Neymar in there. I just don't.
I'll say this, because everybody, the Neymar fanboys, and they're everywhere. It's amazing, and they're so angry all the time. and you get this feeling when they just start lighting people up on like YouTube comments that they're just like 5'2" and very angry with the world, and like they come across as very, very sad, angry people, and I would be too. But like everybody says that the reason he moved to PSG was because he wanted to be the best.
Yeah.
Step out of the shadow, become the best.
I can see that.
When did he show that he was gonna, like, once he finally had the opportunity? When did he actually show that he was interested in doing that? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I think it being so difficult to get out of the round of 16 and finally getting to a Champions League final and facing that version of Bayern Munich, I think he realized that he wasn't going to win it again. And the only reason that he did do so well at Barcelona was the team around him pushing him to be better. But like the fire that people talked about, that was the reason that he moved to PSG. Once he got there, I didn't see that. And if you saw it, then maybe you were watching a different player.
Going to PSG with that, I mean, because you could tell he's not a natural. His work rate is not equal to other players. He's not that guy.
He's like Mbappe. If you see it, like, by you I mean like you or Neymar.
Yeah.
Okay? If you see that there's a likelihood of a win, you work harder.
Yeah.
Which is ironic to me, because wouldn't you want to work harder to turn what you would believe to be an underdog victory? Like, you want to pull out some craziness, but he wants to work hard when it feels like victory is a sure thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to dig deep.
Yeah.
Like Messi and especially Ronaldo, I think, has proven to do.
Yeah. But don't say my boy Mbappe. Mbappe it's a different story. I feel like Mbappe is a different story.
They are different.
Because if you see the World Cup in 2018, Mbappe he played, I mean, the whole World Cup he was good.
Right, but that was also the best French squad of all time, wasn't it?
I don't think that it's difficult for me to. I don't think it was the best squad personally.
Yeah.
Of course, France has outnumbered people or all national teams in terms of each single position on the field, having the best players on the field at each single position, and I think it will carry on for about the next 2 World Cups, just because you can tell all the players playing right now for that are French are really good.
Yeah.
So I think there will always be either a contestant in the World Cup, but because I think about the French national team of 2006 and 1998. I mean, you had Makelele, you had Zidane. So for me, I think that was the best France.
Yeah.
But
okay, so second best in French history then.
Yeah, I would say second best.
No wonder he played so well.
Yeah, I would say second best. But I just think that he has a real problem right where he's at now. I just don't know what is the problem itself. I don't know if it's because he didn't like that he was sharing the spotlight with Neymar and Messi. I don't know if it's because he feel like he's not winning at PSG and he wants out. So I think that will be because in terms of work rate, when he is on the field, you can tell this, he wants to play, he wants to win.
And that's also the other thing that I was going to mention about PSG as well. It's supposed to be this superstar squad. It's supposed to be this,
Yeah.
And a lot of that's social posturing from the club itself, the owners of the club. They really want to facilitate the feeling of them being a destination spot. In football. And it's like they would say, well, we have Neymar, we have Mbappe, we have Messi. Once you take away a few people, now Julian Draxler is in the midfield, because you have Marco Verratti, and I think that he's very underrated. He's gone now. Bye. He's never coming back to Europe again, I imagine. But he is very good, yes, but you start to see where the talent drops off.
Mm-hmm.
And it is frustrating if you are a center forward and you need to be fed the ball.
Yeah.
You are a world-class player. The people feeding you the ball are oftentimes not.
Yeah.
And, not even a deep enough bench to cover reasonable subs. Once you start subbing a few guys in and out, the quality is very thin outside of that first team. And there are still people in that first team. Draxler has started several important games for them. He's not just a rotation player, you know what I mean? And so, Vitinha, I do think Hakimi is very good.
Hakimi.
And he should probably go somewhere. But no, but do you get what I'm saying though? Like the quality of the squad drops off a lot, and you can have a world class player that wants to score goals, but if you don't have a world class midfield feeding him the ball consistently, that's going to cause frustration, and it's frustrating as a viewer to see someone get so deflated and it affect so much the quality that they bring.
Yeah,
because if a game is not working in Ronaldo's favor, he would still work as hard as he would if they were up 4-0.
Yeah.
You know, or let me rephrase that. Like, if it's tied 1-1, he's working his ass off. If they're down 1, he's working his ass off. If it's 4-0 in their favor, he's still working his ass off.
Yeah.
I think Mohamed Salah is that way as well. Sometimes he runs around like a chicken with his head cut off, but it's like it's not for lack of trying.
Yeah.
But I do feel that from Mbappe sometimes. If it's not going his way, he does kind of shut down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've not liked that in any sport, regardless.
Yeah.
Like, because I used to play American football, and so like that's where my background comes from. And like you see certain guys disappear when it gets tough, and that's definitely not a leadership quality.
Yeah. Well, this weekend we had a couple of games, and the leagues have started. Probably the second week for the English.
Yep.
The
and
first
week
week
one
for
everyone else.
Yeah.
Really, but before that though, Man City, they won the Super Cup against Sevilla in a surprisingly close matchup. We don't need to dig into it, but it's trophies going around the parks. And then Arsenal pulled out a victory against Man City for the Community Shield.
Yeah.
Which it's always funny about the Community Shield. Really fast, it's always considered so unimportant when your team loses, but then it's worth celebrating when your team wins it. And so I've always laughed at, like, it is important because it's always a big matchup. It's always a signifier that the season is about to start. It's usually the last friendly, or it's not a friendly really. It's the last non-season game before the start of the season, and featuring either the Premier League winner and the FA Cup winner, or the first and second place of the Premier League. It's always a good rivalry matchup, and but yeah, congratulations to Man City and Arsenal for those early trophies. But yeah, so
what would you say about your team itself, City's team? You can, if you watch the Newcastle game.
Pretty, I would say
Foden, amazing.
He's
player.
amazing. They lack a lot of grace now, though. They're very much not playing the style, that smooth, silky style. It's very much more traditional. Like, they're kind of trying to just rough things out. I think Vardiol or Guardiol, depending on how you just. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
Guardiola, that's how.
No, the new player.
Oh, okay.
Vardiol.
Okay.
No, he looks interesting. He seems to get the system pretty well already. He's been playing in like a sort of a right wing back scenario. Yeah. Foden is unbelievable. You can tell they already miss Kevin De Bruyne and Ilkay Gundogan. You can tell they miss that fluidity in the midfield.
You don't also have those long passes, long through balls, and just surprising the attack, and just and those counter attacks you don't have. And I always said this. When people say, "Oh, Haaland is not a better player than Mbappe," I want everybody to know this.
Look at the camera.
Haaland is not a better player than Mbappe. I don't think he will ever be. Depending on how it goes, he might. The reason is, Haaland is not a playmaker. You have to make the play for Haaland. And I mean, this game was good. He had a couple of balls. I don't know what his deal is. He's been off for quite a bit now, because he used to be a one-touch goal guy. Yep. And that's his thing.
He's been taking extra touches.
Yeah.
He had 3 chances either scuffed or gone wide.
Yeah.
When he brought the ball down to his feet and composed himself for a second. And I think even the commentator said something about that. They're like laughing about, like, he is the exact inverse.
Yeah.
Everybody, you always encourage someone to settle and take a touch rather than try to just absolutely blaze the first shot. He has more accuracy on first touch.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's like, I think he said if he continues on what he's doing, he's said to be probably one of the greatest striker. Because he can score. I mean, his scoring conversion rate will be high up there. But for it to be high, you need a KGB. You need probably a Xavi of back in the day. Well, or you need like a Xabi Alonso.
Well, he is, and you're absolutely right. He is not what you would consider a playmaker.
Yeah.
He is, and even at Dortmund, if you look at his highlights at Dortmund, he was a poacher.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he does. He runs that big ass frame all the way down, blazing past guys that are only that are defenders that are 3 inches shorter than he is, which is hilarious to see. And because he has such long stride, and you either cross a ball in, or really what you end up doing, what I've seen a lot is a nice rounded, threaded pass around the defender, and he's just able to stick his long legs out and have a sliding little poke in, and that's what most of his highlights are if you really look at them. And so, but you need that service, and Foden he
did good that game, though.
He did. But he was having to kind of play two roles. He was having to be what he normally is, which is a sort of creative attacking midfielder that is equally likely to either take the ball for himself or thread a nice pass through a defender. You know what I mean? He's a very open style of player, but he was having to dictate pace more than he's used to. And you had Alvarez really kind of playing in the role that Foden likes to have, and Foden had to sit back. And I do think that there is space for Haaland, Alvarez, and Foden in the same in the same lineup. Not exactly like that, though, but really, I mean, it's a situation that you can't really critique too much, because an injury is an injury, and a key player leaving is a key player leaving. They tried to keep Gundogan. Guardiola was he said it in an interview. He was like, I don't want him to go, and it was ultimately up to Gundogan what he wanted to do. And, I understand winning the treble and having that feeling of, well, what else can I do? But really, I don't think that he should have left, and I won't be crying if Man City don't win the league again, or I mean,
I think they will win.
but it's the history was made with the treble and whatnot, and yes, that's correct. They still have a chance at history. They still have 4 in a row to fight for. So if saying I've done everything in the Premier League that I can do was Gundogan's reason for leaving, I don't agree at all. There was still one season potentially to make further history. Could you imagine being a squad that did did the treble and then broke the consecutive Premier League victories? That's a career ender. That's it. That's done. You'd have a tough time getting me to show up at training the next season. I would be done at that point. Truly.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that, and the one thing I would say, I don't know if they will want to have some sort of, or like a KDB playing. I don't know how Guardiola is going to, I don't know how the next games are going to look like, because KDB is out for 5 months.
I thought it was 4. Is it 4 or 5?
Something like that. 4 or 5 might be.
Well, he's 30. He's 31. I could see 4 months turning into 5 as well.
Now, one of the exciting things this week, and I think the best transfer for any player of this summer transfer, I think, is Jude Bellingham.
There's no one's close.
I think
no one comes close to that.
He has been producing the past 2 games. I mean, I think they should just go ahead and play him as the striker. Because we had just mentioned Kevin De Bruyne, put him in a bit more of a number 10 role, because he is clearly. Would you say Bellingham, Toni Kroos and Bellingham playing together?
They
that
played
combination
really well.
Was very.
They looked great. Yeah. Even though that goal that was conceded to Almira, was directly due to Kroos' lack of pace.
Yeah,
he was late. He was late coming in to defend that header.
Well, before even being late, as soon as Sergio made that run. He kind of let it slide a little bit. So he gave him 1 or 2 steps, forgetting he's at that age. Because he could have stopped it as soon as Sergio received the ball and not give him any space. If you give that space to Sergio, he's going to outrun you on that flank. It's just normal.
Well, it doesn't help that Carvajal and Valverde both kind of got pinched.
Yeah.
They kind of got crossed up. You could see that they had sort of flipped where they were covering and who they were marking. And that allowed for that winger to just be able to blaze it down, and that's 2 mistakes in one.
Yeah.
But really, Carvajal and Valverde, I think Valverde is an underrated defender. I think he's very well rounded. So to see that kind of a mistake come from both of them to allow Cruz's lack of pace to then catch up with them. That was an unfortunate goal to concede.
Valverde played great. I mean, this man passes were crisp to Rodrigo. Everything. I was so mad at Rodrigo because his conversion rate sucked. I mean, this guy had 2, 3 chances and couldn't.
2 for sure. There could have been a third one, but at a certain point, you just start to see it go wide.
Yeah, he could have converted at least one of those, and it was. He can find spaces. He makes the run. He fakes you, makes the run.
Yeah.
Create that space, and Valverde always sees the space, and that's why I like Valverde.
He is probably my favorite player that plays for Real Madrid, and I will say, the goal didn't count, but it was in the 51st minute, I think. Because of a foul that was in the build-up.
Yeah.
Great little flick back from Bellingham, acting like Kevin De Bruyne, a flick back to the midfield, and Cruz just hits a beautiful curler.
Yeah.
Into the right, and it didn't count. But but it's like that's how you make up for like that. That is Toni Kroos to a T.
Yeah.
He's not quick enough to get back on transition anymore. But
you don't let him play.
Yeah.
You don't give him space.
If you let him within 5 yards of the box, he could be 65 years old. Like he'll still be able to hit those shots.
Yeah.
20 years after retiring, he just won't be able to run.
in general, still, you don't want to let Toni Kroos. You don't want to give him space.
Yeah.
You see what he did with Joe. Every time he had some sort of space, there was a threat.
Yep.
And he found Jude Bellingham on that header.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's
But we agree that he is the best signing of the summer.
Yeah, he's by far the best signing. I mean, I was expecting much from Caicedo, and that's for the Chelsea fans.
It's only one. It's only really.
I don't want to blue. It's just the first game.
Was it 25 minutes that he played? 35 minutes?
Yeah, and guess what? He made a lot of errors.
He did.
And also penalty came from him, from his bad decision making.
And it's Chelsea's fault for spending 100 million. He had played 42 Premier League games?
Yeah.
And that's just not enough. And I mean, I'm not saying that he can't eventually be that as good as they expect him to be. But you also can't be surprised if he's not at this point either. But really fast back on Madrid, the defense looked vulnerable, very vulnerable, but they always seemed to have a solution. You know what I mean? Like they were always put out of position in a way that less experienced defenders would end up conceding a goal, but they just didn't really concede them.
Yeah.
But the feeling of them being on a slippery slope maintained. But you still almost felt like they were going to remedy whatever solution, like whatever problem that they had found themselves in being out of position. But I had predicted a 3-0 Madrid, and 3-1 on the day makes sense. That weird kind of cross. It was 4 minutes in. Nobody had a chance to settle.
Yeah.
And like I said, Carvajal and Valverde obviously got their markings crossed up, and that allowed for space and Toni Kroos's pace. But yeah, that was a very impressive performance, and I think that they're going to do very well in the Champions League this year.
Yeah, Madrid has a pretty good team. They definitely have a pretty good team. I see them being up. I see them being at least the semifinal. Yeah, that's where I see them.
Well, that's where you expect them anyway.
Yeah, so
anything less than a semifinal is a failure for the season.
That's a real threat. So they have a good team. Bayern Munich has a good team. I mean, you saw the first game against who they played against? Werder Bremen.
Yep.
And wow, Alphonso Davies, 2 assists.
Very, very quick, very energetic. Does leave some exposure for defense though.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about Alfonso is he's not a natural defender, so he doesn't have those natural defender skills and awareness. But one thing he usually does, he's good at for covering that, is getting back as fast as possible.
Yeah. So he might not be the best defender, but he will backtrack quickly and at least put his body in the way.
Yeah. So that's one thing. But on that wing, oh my God, you leave him there, he will create chances. Yeah. And if he's not scoring, he's creating chances. And Bayern played a pretty good game. I love the game.
They've changed their style a lot to accommodate for Kane.
Yeah.
Because he's not an out. Because Lewandowski is also a poacher. Because we had mentioned Haaland as well. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Lewandowski has a better shot.
Yeah.
He has more finesse on the ball, but ultimately you would agree though that he is a poacher. by definition.
Yeah, Harry Kane, he doesn't have the...
Whereas Kane is like a bit of a passer. He was contributing the ball movement just as much as he was threats to the net as well.
Yeah.
I thought he had a very well-rounded game. Hard guy to cover as well.
But I think
he can do everything.
He's in a great team to either get some trophies, because apparently Tottenham don't like winning.
They don't like
But
winning, no.
He's in a great space as far as... Because he's a natural striker.
Yep.
So he's going to put the ball in the net.
Yep.
You just got to get it to him. And he has a great team built around.
Yeah.
So definitely do that.
I do think that his time at Tottenham, especially when he and Son were working so well together, that really helped him become a better playmaker and chance creator.
Yeah.
Because when Son and Kane were both firing on all cylinders, it would have been selfish for Kane to want to dominate the net. Right?
Yeah.
But so he had to figure out how to leave chances for Son to come in. So like I saw him passing a bit more here as opposed to just trying to drive the ball forward and find the net. He seemed like he was more interested in creating chances than taking his own chances at times, which is good. But when he did go for his chances, he really made them count. And 1 goal, 1 assist. I feel like we're going to start seeing more of that. I don't know if we'll always see more goals and assists from Kane. I feel like he's going to be a bit more evenly distributed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't see him getting 25 goals and 3 assists. I see it more like maybe like a 22 and 16 or something. Like I see him really being a bit more of a play creator and not just like a poaching striker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I want to say he might be the top striker in the league this year.
I think he will be too. I just think
so.
that he's going to be a bit more of a chance creator and like handing the ball up.
Yeah.
Because if Sane keeps playing like he does too, now you have a similar situation to Son, where if Kane and Sane are both going absolutely nuts all season, Kane's little drop off passes, because he's a constant threat when he's on the ball. If he can still have those nice little flick passes out into wide spaces, Sane's gonna have some more goals too. I think that we'll be surprised by the amount of assists that Kane ends up producing, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Okay, I see. I can see that. I think Coman is gonna have a good time assisting too.
Yeah,
he's gonna be a threat. Davies definitely. I don't know. I feel like he might get 10 assists this season.
He could, especially if he keeps trying to work inside a little bit more.
Yeah.
What about Jamal Musiala?
Musiala, he played good. I still have to see more of him, but the midfield, like the central, coming deep, distributing, I think I want to say I probably would want to see more of him to form like a decisive opinion.
He's really good on the ball. He's really good at being able to step past defenders.
Yeah.
And create more chances moving forward. The problem is that he doesn't seem to really find anybody, and he doesn't execute the chances that he then creates. He lacks a bit of the final composure, but he's one of those guys that, you'll see him work through 3 or 4 tackles, just walk straight through people and put together an amazing little run, and then either whiff the shot or turn the ball over in the last minute. And that's a bit frustrating, but he is still very young. What is he, 20?
Yeah, something like that.
He's 20, while Thomas Muller is immortal. He won't die. He won't die. He is a weird player.
Yeah.
The way that he kind of just moves in space, and I've seen him he moves his body in such strange ways.
The thing is, Muller have mastered the art of timing.
Mm-hmm.
Because Muller's not fast and he's not skilled.
Mm-hmm.
But he has mastered the art of good timing and one shot. Or good pass.
Mm.
Because he will not try to outrun you or outskill you.
Yep.
But whenever you try to find the one guy that's gonna put the ball in the net, he's gonna be there.
And that's where he turns really creative. Like he might not have great dribbling.
Yeah.
But he has like weird little like heel flicks into the net. I've seen him like jump in the air, hike his knee up past his ear almost, like he's a spider, and just get a little like inside of the foot tap into the net. And it's like the skill behind that is not crazy. It's the like the dexterity.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people, like jumping tap ins and whatnot, but it's like to be able to move your body in that direction, and like he really makes up for the lack of pace and the lack of skill on the ball by the fact that if you give him one touch inside the box, the ball can kind of go any direction with accuracy.
Yeah, he's gonna score.
Kim Min-jae from Napoli.
Yeah.
Played for Bayern in his debut. Looked good. He looked good, but I will say he had a major double error that luckily didn't lead to a goal. But he's trying to pass out the back, and it's one of those situations where you expect a 10-yard pass, but it had the power of a 5-yard pass.
Yeah.
And it stalled out in the middle of space. The ball gets picked up. He turns to transition and gets nutmegged. And while it didn't lead to a goal, 2 major errors within 3 seconds of each other. That's a bit scary. He did not seem to do that at Napoli.
Yeah.
But it also felt like, well, Bayern's a slower playing team anyway. You know what I mean? Like
depending on which era you're playing.
Yeah.
Because Bayern of 2020?
Yeah.
That wasn't slow. That was overwhelming fast.
Yeah. But Napoli
yeah.
are still faster in terms of how they play. They are, from beginning to end, they run like absolute maniacs.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe he is used to sending the ball out more. Like he's not used to having that compact space a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess he misjudged the weight of the pass. So he'll have to get used to that. But he seems good. And again, he played great at Napoli last season. So doubting the quality is not what's important. It's just figuring out seeing if he can figure out how to really work himself into that different system.
Yeah. For those who watched the game, Nashville against.
Oh my God.
What was that game again? Nashville against.
Miami.
Yeah, and Miami. Messi being in Miami, winning the League Cups.
I predicted it.
I mean, I knew who was gonna win anyway. I actually thought they were gonna win without going to penalties. So for me, that was a big surprise. And what would you say of his performance? I mean, there's not really much to say. It's Messi.
Yeah, I mean, the goal that he scored where he walked through Walker Zimmerman like he wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Because we watched this game, like I said, we watched this live at a watch party. And
he's doing side quests.
It's an impressive goal, but I told you then as well. You look at Messi's highlight reel. He's done that to 4 guys in one run before.
How many goals since he's been in the league? 10 goals, 7 assists?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous what he's done in the League Cup. And I had made the prediction before the League's Cup even started when they had signed Messi. I was like, because I don't think Inter Miami are going to get into the playoffs. Because like a lot of people have to lose a lot and they have to win a lot straight. And like there's just not enough games left to do that. So I was like, watch this son of a bitch come in. And like they're not going to get to the playoffs, but he's going to win this League's Cup for him. Just watch. He's going to grab them by the collar of their shirt. And he's going to drag them to victory. And he did it.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. A lot of tactical issues, I think, from Gary Smith. A lot of how do you spend 30, maybe 25, if I want to be more fair, 25 minutes in the first half thinking that the tactic is to just rifle aimless crosses into the box.
Yeah.
Why would Gary Smith not want to, like, if the players are doing that out of instinct or because they feel like that's the only option that they have, it's your job as the coach. And I'm not telling him how to do his job, but like, how do you just sit there and tactically let that continue for so long when there was not a single threat in that setup? Not at all.
Nashville needs, now they can see they actually need a real maestro. So they need someone that's gonna orchestrate the play. I would say they need a real striker, to say the least.
Yeah,
and I need someone that's gonna finish.
I thought Leal looked good. In the midfield, creating chances. Like they needed that. You know what I mean? Like it worked. Like he came on in might have been the 78th minute or something, like way late. And as soon as he came in, you saw more fluidity. You saw more spaces open up because they had to take him seriously.
Yeah.
Whereas Dax McCarty and Anibal Godoy alone, they're good. They're good holding midfielders. Together, they lack a bit of skill on the ball. It felt like there was no real passing lane options outside of the most conventional spaces possible, because they don't have that skill to hold up play, whereas Leal does, and he's not the paciest person in the world, but you have to honor what he does on the ball.
Shaq Move had a good game though.
He did
have a good game. I liked him.
Mukhtar was a little.
I expected a little bit more from Hani.
But it's the same situation though. When you have people in the midfield dictating the pace and the build up for the ball, they're not those kinds of guys.
Yeah.
They are a bit more of like shutting down lanes, not creating passing lanes. So it's no wonder that the options weren't there. And I'm not saying that both of those guys shouldn't have played that game. I think that one of them should have subbed on for the other. I think that having two of the guys that are very similar in their play style really hurt the creativity in the midfield. They needed someone with finesse and then someone to step in behind and shut down passing lanes if they turn the ball over.
Oh, I got to start here. Since he's been in the league, Messi has 10 goals, 1 assist in 7 matches.
Yeah, that's what you expect, right? Like, okay, that makes sense.
That's Messi. It's not that hard for him. This is just what? This is a musical, how you say. So he's just having fun at this point.
Yeah. I think it's still good competition, though. I do.
Definitely.
I do think that the opinion of the MLS in Europe is not quite fair.
Yeah.
No one should ever make the argument that the MLS is anywhere near the quality of the European leagues, but I've seen people say that the MLS is an embarrassing league. I don't know
not probably back, but not now. I feel like they've built some momentum. Yeah. And also, that's why I said the move for Miami, because they've done this. The MLS has done this many times, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten Beckham back in his days and try to promote the league. But the difference is that I think back then the power of social media was not at this what it is now. Also, Beckham. I think Beckham was really overrated. He was a great player. I followed him, but he was really overrated. So, of course, he was getting all this what was that modeling. So they thought it might attract a lot of people. I don't know how much. I don't know the metrics on how much it attracted people to the league. But I think the move with Messi, it's really great because he has close to 400, if not 600 million followers across all platforms. So they're going to try to watch Messi. Where is he? And that's how you redirect traffic to your league. Yeah. And I think the move was really good. Everybody followed it. Everybody followed it. Even and Messi fans, they're going to follow it. So I think that was a great move.
I want to see the metrics for the viewership since the MLS has moved to Apple TV.
Yeah, because that would be interesting too.
Certain people, because I will say this, the price of Apple TV alone, but then you add the season pass, it's criminal.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that. I just thought you had to have the subscription and you had access to the game, and you also have to have a season pass. Well, it's Apple, you cannot expect less from Apple.
It's a company that has marketing bullshit adapters for every function that they have for every system ever. So they purposefully make their product obsolete within 3 years so that you have to buy more bullshit. Sorry.
It's weird because I kind of like Apple.
I do too.
You're not going to get my money on everything, but you're going to get my money on phones.
Yeah, I like the product that they make. I don't like how they do price gouge everybody. Because my grandpa is really into football as well.
Yeah,
and now he can't watch anything because they don't have the most they're not the most stable financially, but also they're old. They don't know how to stream things. I do think they could afford it if they got rid of their cable, but old people like cable for some reason still. But it's too expensive with the season pass, and then so he can't watch anything because the MLS is exclusively on Apple, and then Premier League he can't watch because it's on Peacock, and Paramount Plus is too expensive for the year for Champions League. So he's just kind of sitting around not knowing what to really do.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I'm gonna watch the MLS now. Actually, that I'm talking about it. But
I'm sure there's a stream somewhere.
Yeah.
VPN.
I think that will be the move. Given that all the leagues have started in Europe, I would say go for top 5. You want to go for top 10? You can go for top 10.
I made a top 10. You made fun of my top 10 because of one.
Union Berlin.
They're playing
debatable.
So okay, and you know,
Newcastle is first. No way. They cannot be first in this league.
Based on how they are performing, man, this is impressive. You're
losing 1-0. I would say Real Madrid got to be first. Actually, see Real and Bayern.
Hold on. Hold on. Instead of critiquing my list, why don't you read your list?
No, I haven't done any list. I'm just trying to organize your list. But I think Real Madrid should be first. Bayern Munich should be second.
Hold on. Well, let me read it like I got it.
Yeah.
I had Newcastle at 1 because their performance against Aston Villa was incredibly impressive. And even though they lost to Man City, I think that 1-0 was a good showing, especially at the Etihad. City did not look their best, but they looked like what they're probably expected to play like going forward. They're not going to be this graceful, hyper, silky football. They seem like they're a bit more of a working class style now. Yeah. I was still impressed with how Newcastle performed. I think that they'll do surprisingly well in the Champions League, but I think that they've got so much money, but they don't overspend. They don't humor these ridiculously high prices. They've made smart purchases since that takeover. I'm very impressed with how the club's run.
I think they have a great recruiting, they have a great scouting team.
Yeah, and I mean because
absolutely amazing.
You look at these Middle Eastern funded clubs, and a lot of them, PSG, Chelsea, they just kind of buy at top dollar. They buy either unproven players at top dollar or mid-level players at top dollar because they can, and then they don't know how to really put them into a system that's cohesive. Newcastle's not doing that. They've turned down deals for certain people. They've not looked at high-profile people that might disturb the system that they've built. They are a system first. They remind me more of Man City than they do of Chelsea and PSG. And I don't hate a club because they have a lot of money. I hate a club in terms of how they spend that money. Like, I don't hate Manchester City because of how much money that they have.
I hate them.
I don't like them, but like it's not because they have all the money that they have.
Yeah.
Because every time that they buy new players, most of the time it makes sense. I get it, and like they're willing to drop a higher price tag than Newcastle. They've proven that, but they're also not aiming for every young upstart going 100 million. 100 million, because that's irresponsible, and it's not working, and we're seeing it not work at two of the richest clubs in Europe, and we're seeing it succeed in the opposite mode from two other rich clubs from Europe. Yes. So I do have Newcastle at number 1. If you want to debate that, that's fine, but I do agree that Real Madrid is obviously the second.
Yeah, I'll go Real Madrid first.
Because it's also what's expected of them as well. No one expects Newcastle to be this good.
People that's why you always
Madrid to be this good.
That's why you're the first. Because we expect you to be good and you are good. So I'll go from so far Real Madrid first, Bayern second, City third. I want to say Arsenal fourth. I want to say the 5th place might go to Monaco actually. They had a great game.
That's surprising. Okay. Yeah, so I'd had Newcastle, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Brighton, and Arsenal if you were going to look at the top 5.
Yeah.
Again, very impressed with Brighton. I could have easily put Napoli in there as well.
Yeah.
But I do think that how Brighton has built their club is very impressive as well. They keep selling these players for unbelievable amounts of money, and then they're still spending that money right, despite being absolutely loaded over the last 4 years, the amount of money that they've gotten for these guys. You know what I mean? Because you would hope that a responsible team would sell a player for $100 million and not go, okay, well now we have 100 to spend. Who are we getting? It's like no. Be more reserved. Like you don't have to spend all of that, and because I feel like Chelsea feels like they have to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like PSG do that as well.
I think Chelsea. I think they're so confused. I think the people running the team at the moment don't know what they're doing.
Well, it's an American running a team.
That's normal, and you can tell. You can see why.
Yeah.
And they're trying to rough their way in. There's no roughing your way in. You gotta have a process. You gotta have a plan.
Yeah.
So actually, Napoli too. I don't know if I want to put them fifth or sixth. Monaco's been killing it. 4-3 against 4-2 against Clermont, and 3-0 against Strasbourg. So I think that's why I'm putting them there. After that might be Juventus, and Brighton might come after that. So that's why I say I just kind of reorganize your list. But Union Berlin is in the top 10.
They are 10th.
Possible.
They are 10th. They are 10th. I mean, they're playing in Europe, man. I don't know. Like that's cool to me. But, and City could probably be higher on mine. I think they're 6th at the moment. But again, it's what's expected of them, and they are not playing as well as they have been, and that they're expected to if they're going to maintain what they have.
But City never starts the season on a full walking, like full train. They always take your time.
But you can at least see what they're trying to achieve. I don't know exactly what they're trying to achieve right now.
They're going to win. That's what they're going to achieve.
Like, I don't see how this style
of play.
Like I see what they're doing, obviously, because I'm watching these games. It's just so different than what the club is used to doing. And I don't know if it's as strong of a tactic. I don't know if it's going to be the best use for a guy like Foden, who works his ass off.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is exactly what he needs to be doing.
Yeah.
But Vardiol was a really good signing, though. He looks really good. Akanji looks a little bit shaky at times.
Yeah.
Diaz is one of the best defenders in Europe, for sure. Kyle Walker has an amazing work rate. You would not believe it. He's 33. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, for his age, is crazy.
Working his ass off.
He's still fast as hell.
That's what I was saying. Like,
it's crazy.
And he's still running with the energy, because like you can tell when someone he's running like a 33-year-old with the energy of a 33-year-old, whereas he still has Walker has the energy feeling of a guy in his mid-20s.
But
the thing is, he still wants to work that hard.
Compare the speed of Walker, he's always been the fast defender. He was at some point one of the fastest player or the fastest defender. Because has never been really fast.
No.
And when you get into that age, so you play experience. Pirlo has never been fast, but Pirlo used to be known. His name was the architect for a reason. He will let you run and cut the stadium into two and backtrack, and he's gonna get the ball.
Just like you can tell when someone, like a good example as well would be Ronaldo, where he has lost his pace. He's still fast, but he's lost his pace. But he's still running as hard as he used to. He's just not that fast anymore. So, but when he's running, it's not that he's not trying to be as fast as he used to be. Like Walker is still unbelievably quick, but you can still tell that he is putting everything into what he is doing, and he's very impressive, and he deserves the captaincy, I think, as well.
All right, guys, we had a good show for you guys. You can expect us when I will posting a week. You can expect us every day at the time Julian is gonna say.
Thanks for setting it up. Yes, so these things should be dropping the morning after we record. So we are gonna record on Mondays. So usually for your Tuesday drive time commute, that's what we are expecting to have. And then for Champions League stuff, we'll do a Tuesday and Wednesday wrap up on Thursday mornings. Available for you guys.
Subscribe. We're gonna be on YouTube.
Subscribe, and we are going to take pull the email up. Let's give them a place to contact us at if they want to either tell us that we don't know what the hell we're talking about, or if they have some observations for the podcast itself, and we will take it into consideration and mock you and read them out loud on the show. I'm kidding.
And is there a way you can post it on the video? Probably down.
I can do that.
Yeah, they can see. This is just topcornerpodcast@gmail.com. Send us emails. We will read it. I don't know yet, but we will.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. And another thing, we might be dropping, I think the next podcast will drop all the social for the podcast, and you guys can go ahead, follow, comment, and send ideas. So we're always open to hear from you guys. Thanks.
Beautiful.